star of stage, of screen, Orson Bean. He apparently was struck by a car in Venice, California, and killed. I met him about, I want to say 25 years ago or so. He wrote a letter to me and told me how much he admired my work and suggested we get together. We did, and since then we've gotten together several times over the years. He was also the father-in-law of Andrew Breitbart, and Andrew told me that he felt that Orson Bean was his mentor and had advised him. He didn't wear his politics on his sleeve, but he certainly was somebody who believed in America, believed in the Constitution, believed in hard work, believed in accountability. When I first interviewed him, I introduced him as a graduate of Harvard. And he corrected me on the air and said, I didn't go to Harvard. And I said, well, according to this, I read to prepare for this interview you did. He said, a lot of people think I did, but I didn't. And other people think I went to Yale. He said, that's because when I first became a comedian, I came on the stage and I said, my name is Orson Bean, Harvard 39, Yale nothing. And people laughed. And he said, I guess because of my diction, because of how I speak, people assumed that I had this education, and when in fact he didn't. He didn't have an Ivy League education at all. And he was in, I don't know how many films and play productions and TV shows. He was in Medicine Man. My mother loved Dr. Quinn, Medicine Man. He was the guy that ran the general store. My mother loved his portrayal, and my mother had a chance to meet him as well. I don't know how many times he appeared on the Late Show, the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson, but he was one of his most frequent guests and one of his most entertaining guests. Anyway, Orson Bean, dead at the age of 91. His wife, Allie, played the mom in that sitcom called The Wonder Years. And one time Orson told me that he and Allie were at a mall. This is years after Wonder Years had stopped running in first run. They were now running in reruns. And he said all these kids came up to her, and he said, and most of them were black kids. And he said, at first I was kind of surprised because The Wonder Years was such a, quote, white bread show, close quote. That's how he phrased it. But I realized what was going on. And I cut him off, and I said, you don't need to tell me. I know. He said, what? I said, these kids want a family like the one they saw on TV with a mom and a dad in the house. And when they watched it, it gave them the kind of thing that they didn't have in their own lives. He said, that's exactly what they said. One of his first jokes he told on the Tonight Show, we have that.
Lauren column. He's desperate for a female parrot. He sits looking out the window as the pigeons fly by anything. People come to the man's house and the parrot's looking at them with terrible, malevolent, beady eyes, making obscene suggestions as they walk past the cage. He's in a very
lonesome parrot.
A lonesome parrot, to put it mildly. The guy reaches into the cage to change the paper or something. The bird is on his arm. You know, it's terrible. Finally, the guy takes the parrot to a vet. The vet examines the parrot, says, well, he says, it's obvious what your parrot needs. He says to the man, I have a sweet young female bird in the back. The parrot's in his cage listening to the conversation. And the vet says, for $15, he says, your bird can go in the cage with my bird. And the parrot's in there, and the guy says, geez, I don't know. He says, $15. And the parrot says, come on, what the hell? Finally, the guy says, all right. He gives the vet the 15. The vet takes the parrot, puts him in the cage with the female bird. They close the curtain. The two men go and sit down. There's a moment of silence, and then suddenly, quack, 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 feathers come flying over the top of the curtain. The vet says, holy gee, he runs over, opens the curtain. The male bird's got the female bird down on the bottom of the cage with one claw. With the other claw, he's pulling out all her feathers. He's saying, for $15, I want you naked.
He appeared on The Tonight Show over 200 times. His name, by the way, originally was Dallas Frederick Burroughs. And he changed his name when a musician suggested it rather. And the name got a great response from the audience. He changed it. He graduated from Cambridge Rindge and Latin School in 1946 and then joined the Army. So did not attend college, as he told me. But people assumed that he did. An amazing man By the way, his father was a founding member of the American Civil Liberties Union. Quite a life, quite a man. Wonderful marriage. He and his wife, Allie, were like teenagers together. He will be missed. Now,